So I think, are we back? Are we so back? We'll see. Why am I yellow? Like on that camera preview, I'm not yellow. On this fucking camera preview, I am yellow. Why is that? Let me go on. You know what? I lost the will of calling it Twitter anymore. It's X. I'm afraid they won. They won. They took it from us, and they won. Anyway, I want to see if this chat is working as always. I don't have the chat embed, so if you can type something in on the chat, just to make sure. Okay, we have Twitch, we have YouTube, but why not Twitter comments? See, I called it Twitter. View open live video. Okay, so this is gonna be me yapping. You can actually. Wait, okay, I'm gonna try to text myself because that's how it works, and it doesn't appear in my chat there. Okay, it does appear with a bit of delay. Cool. And there's also replies that actually, I guess they appear if someone replies on the tweet, but we don't care about that, those ones. So, I wanna, let me just plug this stupid thing in. Motherfucker. I hate, like, let me just vent for a little bit. I hate this stupid fucking thing, okay? This is the Whoop charger. I just bought a new one because for my first Whoop, half of the year, like you buy it for a year, and for 1 year, for 6 months, I've been paying for a subscription and I couldn't find a charger. Then I bought another Whoop thinking that if I buy another Whoop, I'm gonna get in shape and blah, blah, blah. As you can see, obviously not true. And then again, for a few months, I'm not using it because I lost the fucking charger. So now I'm gonna fucking charge it and then I'm gonna slap an AirTag on it and the AirTag is gonna stay on it fucking permanently. But anyway, I just wanted to, like, this is actually not an AMA. If you want, you can ask me questions. I can yap about Soul Fable and whatever. I just wanted to move my streaming setup back because I'm working on some cool shit and I wanted to record videos, but my camera is not plugged in, my microphone is not plugged in, the light is not plugged in. There's so many things not working that I actually got pissed off enough to set up my camera and microphone and everything so I can finally record and stream again. Obviously, I'm not going to stream coding because what is the fucking point anymore? I don't know what the streams are going to be, but I just want to go live from time to time for no reason, for example, like now. So I have, if you like, I don't have enough scenes to set up screen sharing and the other shit. But if you want to know what my current setup is on this big ass widescreen monitor that's in front of me, I have a third of it reserved for the Claude desktop app, a third of it for ChatGPT, Work Pro, Codex, Maximum, Clean, old version, like whatever the fuck they call it. I fucking hate it now. So I have that in the center and I couldn't get it for some reason. Like for my local things, I can see Soul, but for my remote things on my remote VPS, I cannot see Soul for whatever reason. I'm probably mismatching the CLIs, blah, blah, blah. So I've been trying to use Soul. No, I've been trying to use, Soul locally and asking it, hey, why on my VPS I cannot access 5.6 Soul? And it's been treating me, fuck, I wish I could share screen, but it's been treating me so cold. It's just giving me 1 second, one sentence. I'm blocked because the remote host tools aren't available this task session. The screenshot alone confirms blah, blah, blah. Like it's so cold, bro. It's like talking to a plate of a bowl of oatmeal. It's like talking to IKEA furniture. And I'm like, I set a goal and I'm like, no, you got to figure this out. And in the goal, it's just been going in a loop and saying block SSH, block shell, block access, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know why my local fucking Soul cannot figure out why my remote fucking Soul doesn't work. And I'm just tired of all this shit, bro. So anyway, the Codex ChatGPT Pro thing app has been just sitting in the middle of my screen, but haven't using it enough. And the cursor team, God bless them, they've been amazing enough to hear my yaps on Twitter and top up my account with shit ton of credits. So I've been mostly using Fable in Claude and then Fable in Cursor while switching to Soul from time to time. But I still think, like, just based on vibes only, this is no benchmarks, no whatever, I think I prefer, drumroll, I think I prefer the Soul that Fable has. I still haven't extensively tested how far does Soul go to pursue a task because GPT 5.5 has been insane when it comes to like, I'm gonna do this and that's it. Like yesterday, I asked it to enable iPhone mirroring on in Europe because in Europe it's blocked. And I set it as a goal and I'm like, I don't care how, you're gonna fucking figure out a way how to enable iPhone mirroring. It's been working for 2.5 hours. It wasn't successful, but I just couldn't believe the amount of shit that it tried before. Like it didn't even quit. The goal kept continuing on and on and on. I didn't even know those APIs exist. I didn't know that a Mac can do so many things on an iPhone. Like I saw the clock change on my iPhone. The time zones changed, a bunch of settings and shit. I'm like, wait, how does Apple even? I thought that Apple would never in a million years allow you to poke on the iPhone like that. But Codex with GPT 5.5 was so persistent. And then I tried Soul in Cursor, and immediately it says, no, I cannot do that cybersecurity thing, blah, blah, blah. And it opened, it opened an Apple account creation page so I can open an account in USA. So it was kind of smarter. But I still believe that if you use the model with the harness, you get better results than using the models in Cursor. That's just my 2 cents on the thing. Let me see the chat. Let's say your Twitch again gives me a video download. Like for whatever complaints we have about the quality of the video and blah, 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 I have fiber optic coming in September, which is very close. And we're never, ever going to have streaming issues again. So in the last 3 years, I kind of paused because every fucking, well, that's an excuse, but every stream that I would do, people would be like, oh, the bandwidth, it's lagging and blah, blah, blah. I even got, I got this. I've never... Nah, motherfucker. I've never bought any of these external monitors, like it's already smudged. This is a 1080p thing that costs around 80 euros. So it's like a 1080p. But once you plug it in, I plugged it into Windows. And in Windows, like with USB-C, it doesn't just automatically work. So on Windows, you got to put power in one of the USB-Cs and then HDMI mini connection in the other ones. And on Mac, you just plug in a USB-C because that's how God intended for things to work. And you don't need power, you don't need anything, and it works. And even though it's like 1080p, I expected to see a shitty monitor. Like, it's kind of a vibe. I don't know why I like it. Maybe because of the thin bezels. Like, it has thinner bezels than my big monitor here. But I plan to like MagSafe this. I tried very unsuccessfully to MagSafe it and to place it around so I can do my streams, my gaming. Like here, this bike that was supposed to be for training an Ironman is actually now used just for mounting equipment. So I want to put this so I can have the chat and the OBS and the stream layouts so that I can actually stream more. Let me see. And if you're new here, hi, welcome. We're going on tangents. I'm going to start talking about one thing and we're going to end up talking about 50 different things, but that's how we roll. Thank you for the rundown. I'm using Claude VS Code extension for a platform. Am I dumb or are we good? Claude VS Code extension sounds like the worst of all worlds. So congratulations on picking that. The worst option than that is just picking Copilot. But you're very close to picking the worst option. Ultra effort is golden. I have an opinion about all of these efforts in new models and shit. Like, yes, I enjoy Fable and I haven't played enough with Soul. But it feels like we could have already done many things with the previous models. I just want to say that if you have your shit together and your skills and everything is organized and you know what you're... People are like, oh, finally I can tackle my hard tasks. Which ones? What are you doing? Like, I want to know when you say, I can finally tackle my hard tasks. I want to see what most people mean by that. Like, how many of them do you have? 4? And then, like, I'm also guilty of this because I actually tackled some of my hard tasks and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then the next one is about, I don't know, centering a thing. And I'm like, can you center the thing? I'm kind of too lazy to switch to another thing. So I would use Fable to write commit messages and other shit because it is what it is, you know? Freefu says, I changed my app store region to US and I had that from mirroring. Wasn't even get to work. The shitty thing is you cannot switch your account to US when you have active subscriptions. So now I cancel my Apple Music. And now until the Apple Music expires, which is like in 20 days, I cannot switch my region to USA, which is fucking stupid. Does that give you Siri, by the way? I hope that it should. Let me just pour some water and continue. Fuck it, you're getting ASMR, I don't care. Why is the extension better than the desktop app? Did you mean worse? Like, it is worse. because the desktop app has it. I mean, why do you need VS Code, bro? That's the real question. Why, in the year of our Lord, in this summer of 2026, why the fuck do you have well, a need to use VS Code? That's the question. The entire discussion of like, should we read code is stupid. 1% of people, like a very small percent that lives on top and works on very advanced things, maybe on the models themselves or harnesses or like frameworks or routers or whatever the fuck they're working on, that small percentage of people should read a small percentage of the code. I hate that people generalize and they're like, we should or we shouldn't read the code like it's black. Bro, you're working on a full stack fucking blog for growing SEO. You don't need to read the code in 99% of cases. So anyway, let me finish my rant about harnesses and super apps. I hate when they call them super apps. It's a fucking sidebar. Stop calling it a super app. Like I got so pissed yesterday when I had Codex open. I watched the stream of OpenAI and they say, go and download ChatGPT Work. And I'm like, okay. And I go to the page and I download ChatGPT Work. I'm like, this is good because for a while I wasn't using ChatGPT Desktop. So this would be nice. And I'm expecting my ChatGPT chats, which are just chats, to appear in this ChatGPT new thing. And then I double click the installer and it says, install Codex, or I don't know what it said, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? Suddenly my Codex disappears. I got this new thing. There's a switch between Work and Codex. It does nothing. It doesn't switch the chats. Nothing actually changes, and I'm confused as fuck, which put me on an ADHD journey. So before I tell you the journey that I went on, I have Claude on the left side, which is using Fable most of the time. Be sure to go in settings, and in settings to set, there's a setting to automatically lower the model if it ever hits a security issue. I would advise you to turn that off because then it gives you a chance to re-edit your prompt and to submit again. And a lot of times I just resubmit the same prompt and it kind of goes without the security blockage thingy. So make sure that that is off. But a lot of times I'm like, oh yeah, I need like a composer or whatever dumber model to handle this from now on. And I cannot do it because I started it in the Claude desktop app. So I don't like that the Claude desktop app and the ChatGPT Codex for Work, whatever the fuck, they let you use only their models. I was kind of fine while I was locked in Codex, but now when I want to, nibble a little bit from Fable and from Codex and from Grok when it's available in 2049 in Europe and all of these, I also want to use Cursor. But the point is, in Cursor, you get all the models, but you get them with their harness, which Cursor paired with the Claude model and Cursor paired with Soul or whatever, I don't think is as good as the native harnesses with the native models. I think there's some magic, there's some glue there. People are like, oh, when I use Pi, it's pretty vanilla. Well, sometimes you want chocolate chips in your vanilla, Actually, that's a worse combination of things, but I don't like the idea that Pi is vanilla. I like that Claude has a massive ass prompt that teaches its models how to do things, I don't like some parts of the prompt, but if I would use Pi or OpenCode or whatever, I would feel naked and lonely, and I would feel like my harness is not helping the models enough, if that makes fucking sense. Which brings me to my ADHD adventure. So I'm unhappy with all of these solutions. I'm mostly unhappy about that in Cursor, like I have a bunch of repositories. There's group by, let me see, there's grouping, repository, workspace, updated status, and environment. And like vomit, kill me, doesn't fucking make sense. It's like, I don't like it. You cannot even, like when I have them grouped by repository, when I have things with one chat, okay, actually that one could collapse them. But one of these cannot collapse a folder with one chat, and it's driving me crazy. I kind of like the Claude desktop app because I can pin chats on top and I can start chats that are not connected to anything. And I like the Codex app for the same reason, that I can just have rogue chats. Like a lot of times I'm like, what was that 3D app I was working on? And I'm just going to start a rogue chat because where the fuck do I start it, right? Which folder do I start it in? And then I'm like, hey, where do we work on the 3D thing? And then I might connect it to a project. So anyway, the chat dialogue is mostly similar in all of them. The sidebars are kind of similar. Some of them are doing it well, some of them are doing it not well. And I don't like that the Claude app doesn't have queuing. Am I dumb or it doesn't have queuing? Like it queues things, but there's no way to reorder the queue, and there's no way to steer with one of the items from the queue, which both Codex and Cursor are doing very well. Regarding the built-in browsers, I never use them, despite them having bells and whistles. I never use them, which finally brings me to my fucking point that I started my own adventure. And my adventure was started actually 2025 when I decided to make my own agent orchestrator, which was called Jarvis, like a Mexican Jarvis. That was the name with a Y. It was called Jarvis. And before most of you fuckboys were talking about orchestrators and whatever the fucks, I think there was only maybe, what was that first one called? Conductor. I think Conductor was around, but someone told me about Conductor after I made and showed them like an initial version of my thing. And they were like, oh, so this is like Conductor. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck is that? And then I downloaded it and I'm like, oh, this is pretty fucking good. But Conductor was Claude only for a while. Now I think they support everything. Anyway, I was so early to this. And then I started getting conflicted. I'm like, but wait, I have Sizzy, which is a browser for developers. Should agents live in Sizzy, which is the browser, or should a browser be added to an agent orchestrator? So I started playing with that. And as always, I went on some ADHD route. And then they started popping up like mushrooms, like everyone and their mother was making a new orchestrator. And I've tried many, many times. Like I made Jarvis, and I made Wolfer, and I made Claw and Crab during the open claw craze, and most of them had a very similar philosophy that they're built on top of Claude and Codex and ACP, and that like eventually I would get stuck. Like, how do we store the data? Do we use SQLite? Do we? I would get stuck on the tech stack, and like I would just abandon the results. So yesterday, after I got pissed enough from this ChatGPT Codex fucking bullshit, I decided to just simply fork T3 code because it's MIT and they laid a bunch of the groundwork for how an orchestrator should work under the hood. I don't agree with a lot of the technical choices, but Giuliano is pretty cracked, I would say. So even though I don't agree with all the technical choices, there's some good stuff in there. A lot of the UI things are like, you open settings, it doesn't open in a dialog, but it opens as a new screen. And then when you expect that should be the back button to take you there, like you have settings and you have an icon that's back, that one is for collapsing a sidebar. I think this is mostly, I would call it a one-man project. So I think for a one-man or two-person project, they've done an incredible job compared to OpenAI has a gazillion people. They have designers, they have meetings, they have whiteboards. Some person went on a whiteboard and was like, oh, you know what? Let's have a switch between ChatGPT Codex and ChatGPT Work. And like 50 people in the room were like, woo, that's a great idea. What should it switch? And he was like, nothing. And all of them were like, fuck yeah, we like that. And they shipped it. And Giuliano and Theo Dor are just two people, and they kind of have better UX. But your boy decided, you know what? I'm going to make an even better UX than that one. Because when I fork this, I'm making it for myself. So I don't care if everyone will like it. I don't care if everyone will benefit from it. And they do care. So they make it open source. They make sure that the code is good and blah, 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 and that it works for people. And I think it works cross-platform, which I don't give a shit about. I'm only keeping it in Electron because I want the browser thingy on the side to be Chromium, but otherwise I don't give a fuck about it. So I don't even know where is it. Let me see who's working on that. I think Claude was working on that. And Cursor, by the way, a lot of times you'll see a loading spinner and I'll go and click. Nope, it's not. Like a lot of times I would glance on this monitor just to see if agents are working, and Cursor tells me they're working. And then I click on the chat and it's like, oh, sorry, I was kidding. We're actually not working. Pissing me the fuck off. Call it Codex. That's hilarious. What the fuck is happening? So in this ADHD journey, like in parallel, you know, like I have Soto, which is the dictation app, soto.to. Is a dictation app, and I started using it more and more because I'm dictating left and right, and then these new models unlock so many new things I can do on Soto. So I'm working on a iOS companion keyboard app, and I'm working on like I pushed like 3 new versions today, and then I'm like, what about the change logs? So I'm working on Blink, which was one of my old projects, still trying to keep it up alive. So in parallel, like Soto builds are happening. Change logs are being written in Glink. Releases are made on Release Flow, which is a product that I made. I'm using it. It's like you get an automatic update server for all of your Mac apps and all of your Electron apps. So every desktop app that I have is currently hosted on Release Flow, and it's free, and you can actually sign up and use it for your things. And it has CLI, AI, MCP, all of those things, so your agents can actually release your apps. It's pretty amazing. And I just made sure to connect Release Flow to Glink, so anytime I would write a Glink changelog and would publish a new desktop app, people would get a changelog. So if you update from version, my voice died, like that football guy, whatever his name was. I can't believe that I watched 2 football games in my life. Kill me. So I think Glink is, like, I've been saying this, I've been streaming for what, 10 fucking years at this point, and I've still been saying that Glink is crucial, because if you don't write that fucking changelog of what is new, and if someone updates from version 13 to version 17 and you only show them the changelogs for version 17, I think you're missing on a marketing opportunity to tell them that, hey, from your version to this version, we shipped a gazillion things. And I've been working with that today, and it works pretty great. So in parallel, I deleted Google Chrome because I was tired of, I have 17 Chrome windows with too many tabs and nothing works as it should. So I went back to working on a browser that I've been working on. So one of these agents is cooking on the browser. What else? Super Mac, which started as like the launcher spotlight thingy. Now it has also a bazillion things. I improved performance. And the things, I don't know if Soul or Fable was working on this, but the way they were measuring performance was insane. I think they even recorded a video and they analyzed the frame and shit, and now it's like super, super fast. So I would never bother to do that manually. I'm looking through my projects. Yeah, all of this started that basically I got access to Fable and I decided to refactor Benji. So now Benji went from like the most focused thing. I was like 80% there. Now I shoved it back to the bottom and I'm like, I cannot work on that until I have a proper dictation app. I have Super Mac, which is like super enhancing my Mac. And then the number one thing is to delete the cursor app, to delete the codex app, to delete the Claude app, and to just use my fork of T3 code, which is going to be called, it's a dumb name. Maybe I'll rename it. But the initial version was 2033 because the point was the IDE from 2033. The rhyming is not relevant. And now that name was taken because I started an orchestrator and abandoned it. And now I call it 2045. And it's annoying because in Super Mac, when I type in 2045, the calculator pops up. And when I press enter to launch my app, it copies the clipboard result instead from the calculation. So I'm stuck in a web of my own shit that's so deep and it goes so many layers that I cannot unstuck myself. What is the time? It's 1:30 a.m. and I'm in a stream and I don't fucking even know why. Like, I wish I could take one piece of everything I worked on and just wrap it up and be like, yay. I mean, I shipped a couple of updates, but I still don't feel like I've done and wrapped up enough. I want to see how the stream thingy is going on. I don't know what these numbers mean on X. I think 158 is the total people that ever entered the stream, right? Why is it 480p? Okay. I'm streaming in 4K? The fuck? I don't want you to see my pores. There's no way that this works in 4K. Okay, cool. I have 2% battery. Anyway. So why I like the fact that I made a fork is that it uses the native CLIs under the hood. So when I'm using Soul, it's going to use the Codex CLI, and when I'm using Fable, it's going to use the Claude CLI, and that's a giant benefit. Let me read the chat. And none of it is actual orchestrator dependent on definition. Agent orchestration happens inside the agent itself, and no mind the commander app is neither. Wow, this guy found a way to plug his thing in. Incredible. It's funny because I had a conversation with a friend middle of 2025. And I actually mentioned this. I'm like, dude, I want to make an IDE of the future. And I had this name in mind, like 2033. And I wanted to make an IDE that has no code and that where you can manage your projects with voice. That was my idea. And the things pop in and out, like it's very Jarvis-y. And I knew the technology was not there, but I was like, things are going to get good enough that we're not going to read the code. And voice model is going to get so good that you can drive everything. But I was so like looking like this, chatting to this friend. And he would shoot an idea down and I would be like, no, like I wouldn't immediately be like that, but I think it kind of affected me that I was like, yeah. No. Also, my ADHD, like I don't want to blame anyone. Also, ADHD, it's like I would start the thing and then I would lose belief in it and I would believe in it and blah, blah, blah. And then turns out what I wanted to build, 50 other million people built. And the only one that came close to my initial vision is Max, whatever the fuck, Max Blade. Max Blade, his thingy is the closest to my original vision, with the difference that his thingy is embedding terminals, which I don't want to see in my life. I don't want to see a terminal anywhere, even if it's embedded in a cutesy synth wave, like there's music and retro vibes and whatever the fuck. I don't, and I think Aaron Francis is also making Solo, which looks interesting, but it's also embedding the CLIs, which I don't want. So I'm using whatever T3 is using. I think it's ACP on top of the CLIs. I'm just not sure if in the middle of a chat you can switch to another model. I haven't tried that yet. So that's kind of crucial that you can do in Cursor. At any point, a different model can do the thing. So I wanted to actually show, no, actually I'm not going to share my screen. Of course I can't launch the thing because the calculator opens. That's fucking amazing. Wait, give me a sec. Speaking of IDE and developer tools, I don't know how many of you know Sizzy, because this was created in 2017. In 2017, I had the vision that developers shouldn't use Google Chrome and developers shouldn't work in a browser that's not made for developer work. And eventually, one of the big features that I added in Sizzy and most people are missing is that you could organize your projects. Like I was working on 45 things and there's no way in hell that that recents dialog in VS Code or Cursor or whatever would help me organize my billion projects. And that's my problem with orchestrators right now, that as you add projects, they all appear in the sidebar, but I am not working on all of them at once. And the equivalent of a project is a path on disk. And even in Sizzy, if you go right now, when you add a project, you add a title, you add a description, you add a file path, you add a Git repo, you add an emoji, you add a color, you enhance the project and you store it somewhere. And then you decide, you know what? Today I'm going to work on project A. Tomorrow I'm going to work on project B, C, and D, and whatever. And Cursor and Claude and ChatGPT and all of them are forcing you add the projects and they're like, well, now look at them all the time. So my brain wastes so much. I'm just scanning all the time. What was I working? Like everything is text and it's like driving me fucking crazy. So what I made in my fork is basically, there's like a project manager where you, I just got an idea. I should plug in the second monitor and I should share it. And it should only share the things that are dragged into the second monitor. So I can keep my agents cooking and stuff. And when I want to show you something to you guys, I can just drag it to the external monitor and that would be it. But anyway, I made like a projects organizer where you beautifully organize your projects in folders with all the things. So very similar to Sizzy. I think this app, I want to make it like a successor to Sizzy, and then anyone who has a Sizzy license should actually be able to also get this for free. So projects are organized, and in the sidebar, which I have inevitably, I'm trying to find ways how to remove the sidebar. Even though it's the most organized agent orchestrator sidebar out there, you choose whether you want to see all of your projects or whether you want to see active projects. So if today I decide to work on Glink, Sizzy, and Soto, I only see those three. And I added another feature. You can right click on one of them and click focus, meaning for this portion of the day, I want to focus only on Soto and only on these chats, and I can enter. And then when I'm done, I can exit and I can go back. So it's using a sidebar, but the sidebar is more advanced than any agent orchestrator sidebar that you've seen. There's also grouping by status. There's Kanban vertical and horizontal. I like horizontal because I have a wide screen, so I can have a big portion of my screen to see my tasks as a flowing Kanban. Then I have the chat, and then on the right side, I have the browser and whatever. It's been a while since I needed a terminal. I don't know who and where npm run dev has been. Like, I don't know who does that and where. I just know that my processes are running and someone is expecting the errors. And I really like that that entire part of the project is just shoved somewhere where I don't need to see it. I used to be all obsessed with like WebStorm's run manager. We can run scripts to update your dependencies. And it feels like it's like an ancient thing from ages ago. So things have definitely changed. Did I miss a message or no? I didn't miss a message. So yeah, I wish I could. Like, I don't want to bother with sharing screen. Like, it always makes me nervous to share the screen. It's because all of these agents are yapping and all of them are putting in the chat like URLs and other things that I don't feel comfortable with sharing. And windows keep popping up on my computer on any monitor. Like, it would just open Super Mac and it would just quickly test it and do like, and in Super Mac, I have my contacts and calendar events and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know if I'll ever share a screen or on stream again. But what else have I added to my orchestrator that's unique to my thing? Settings, I made it a dialogue as settings should be. It's not a fucking screen. So you have a projects manager. I'm not sure if I added the opportunity to connect remote projects because I want to mix. I have some local projects and I have some projects on my Mac Studio and I have some projects on my VPS and I want all of them in one place. Next up, I added a knowledge tab where you manage knowledge bases and you manage single knowledge documents. So my grip with skills is that all the skills get loaded into, I know it's a summarized version and only the metadata and the descriptions get loaded and everything, but I keep getting the warning that I have too many skills and they're taking too much of the context and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't want a certain skill for this. I just want to be able to tag, let me tell you one of my documents. Umbrel or Mac Studio. That's one of my knowledge documents. So when I want to mention the word Mac Studio, if I mention it vaguely without tagging anything, an agent will see Mac Studio and then they'll ask, what is Mac Studio? And then they'll load their skills and then they'll find a skill and then they'll do the thing. But if I just mention Mac Studio and he loads a sentence or like a couple of sentences, then the agent knows, it's the Mac Studio, it's connected via tail skill on this address, that's the short name, blah, 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 blah. And when I write a prompt, I just tag a couple of my documents or an entire knowledge base, and it's way better than working with skills. So it's so hard to talk when you eat like a piece of shit. And it's like, when I was doing streams back in the day, I was very careful not to eat a couple of hours before a stream. But now I don't have a couple of minutes in the day where I'm not shoving food. There's a piece of cake inside of this water bottle. I'm kidding. I'll be back. So I like knowledge because I can tag an entire knowledge base and I can tag documents, and it also exposed via CLI and API. So my agent can read my old cursor, codex, whatever sessions, and based on them, it created a bunch of documents that I can now tag, which don't get loaded into every request. Next up, we have commands, /commands. I like that when Cursor had that. I don't know if Cursor removed it. I know that Codex removed it, and they're saying just use skills. That's so fucking dumb. So commands, for me, I have one now. It's a commit and push. And it says we need to commit and push, look at all the git changes and make sure it's not one giant commit, but more logical commits based on the changes, then push to whatever branch you're on. Now, the cool thing is I can put an emoji for this and I can mark it as a favorite. And if I mark it as a favorite and the emoji is a rocket, in my chat, I'll have a rocket and I can click the rocket and basically it sends that entire command as a message. And then I don't need to repeat that command. That's not a skill. It kind of is a /command, but I don't want to type / the thingy. I just want to have it as a favorite. Especially for the 5-10 things that I do most often, I want to have emojis, and then you see a nice tooltip and you click it. And I'm reinventing sharing my screen from scratch just by letting you imagine it. But when you do, it's beautiful, right? When I give you access one day. Do you usually let the agent even commit, push, and stuff? Yeah, agents are doing everything, bro. Agents are doing absolutely fucking everything. And I'm tired of people who don't trust them for shit. I try to push this on my tools users myself, so I'm like, man, don't like it, I love it. Devs are very folder attached. Yeah, I hate the entire thing of a folder. I don't know where most of my folders are, and it drives me crazy. I want to build I have actually built a web app that the sole purpose of it to organize all of my projects on all the machines. So I have some of them on GitHub, which are not even cloned on a machine. I have some of them which are cloned in 2 places. And I'm like, I want a central place that organizes all my projects and then exposes them via API. So I can just call it whatever, librarium or whatever. And I can just tag librarium and the agent will know like, okay, I need to hit this API. He asked me about project Soto that lives on a VPS in this folder. So I don't even like that I'm shoving the definitions of my projects into my agent orchestrator. But for now, I kind of have to do it, even though I want it external. So whatever I use, I can just point to it and be like, hey, this is my structure of the project. And of course, like I've shifted my brain so much to People are like, oh, how does your JSON look like? How does your folder look like? How do you edit your? I haven't seen my skills. I haven't seen my JSON. I haven't seen my OpenClaw. I haven't seen my Hermes. I haven't like get used to asking the agent to do things for you under the hood. You shouldn't know how. Like I even made like an agent skill Mac app using Swift. And people liked it, and I opened it once, and I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking go into my skill and edit the markdown, so I can keep being in my chats and tell my agents to work on my knowledge and skills and whatever the fuck. Anyway, so we have knowledge, we have commands, we have projects thingy. What else have I added? I think I have a few more crucial things, but the most progress that I made was on that goddamn sidebar. Yeah, I guess the final, what is Jujutsu, for fuck's sake? It says support for Jujutsu is coming soon. Does anyone know what the fuck is Jujutsu? It's some hipster git or some shit? What the fuck? Yeah, drink water before bed. That's gonna be nice. The last thing that I have is you don't chat with a with a provider and a model. So when you open a chat in my orchestrator, you don't chat with the Claude provider and the Fable model, but you go in settings, you create an agent, you give it a name, John, you give it a description, you're like, hey, John, you gotta be short and professional, you gotta speak in Spanish, you're a senior, blah, 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 whatever, the bullshit's right. You give it an icon, you give it a color, and then you choose a provider and a model. So my John here is GPT 5.5 for whatever the fuck reason. And you can choose level of thinking and everything. And then when I'm working on Soto, I can say that in Soto, I only want to work with Devin, who is an agent made for desktop development of Swift apps. And Devin should have name, instructions, and it's not done yet, but I want each agent to have a particular skill set, because when I'm working on my taxes, I should be working with my accountant agent, which has skills and knowledge bases and commands for my taxes. And then when I'm working on my desktop Swift apps, they don't need to know about what are the best practices for Tailwind, which in the skills folder, I have fucking everything, right? So for now, they don't choose skills, but they have a name and instructions. So when I chat in Soto, I choose who do I chat with, and I choose John or Devin or Emma or whatever the fuck, one of my agents. And then I can customize the level of thinking. And if I want to, in the middle of a conversation, I can be like, Emma, now you're a sonnet for a while. So you can switch and you can have custom, but I like the mental model of like, I'm talking to a defined agent and not just to some provider somewhere. And I guess the final thing that I added today is like there's a separation between all projects and chats. So chats tab is just for some rogue chats that I have, and projects is for the projects. So it's like a nice mix of everything. Actually, I cannot wait to show you all of this. Why? Most of my apps are actually unreleased, the ones that I'm yapping here. So we have the browser, which is called Mindy. We have SuperMac, which is released if you're a Tinker Club member. But I have probably 15 apps, let's say 5 polished ones and 10 slop ones that I don't release them. I don't talk about them. I don't build in public. I don't post screenshots because I have no fucking idea how to even price anymore. Like I've lost the plot of pricing things. Like I'm making this orchestrator forked of T3 code. I could have written it from scratch. If they ever yap about why did you fork it, it's MIT and whatever, I can rebuild it from scratch. I don't give a shit. But do I open source it and just aura farm and be like, look at me, I'm an open source boy and blah, blah, blah. Or maybe then make like a paid version with updates and blah, blah, blah. Or do I just make it paid? Which seems like someone laid a lot of the groundwork for you and you take it now and you make it paid. I don't know how legal is that with the license. Maybe you just ask Theo just to know not to invest too much, because they include MCP and connections and other things, but you know, the base is not that. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to go with this. I know I'm going to use it for a while and I'm going to force myself one of these days. Out of every app that I have, Cursor and Claude and everything, I think I would miss Codex the most, because it has nice automations for heartbeats in conversations. It has nice automations, kinda-ish UI, which I would need to build. And their plugins are kind of goated. Like computer use and everything is very good. So I don't know how much I can replicate that. Also, their the Chrome extension and everything else is not that hard to recreate, but I would miss Codex the most, I think. I think it's doing a lot of things under the hood that I don't even notice when I'm working with it. And then when I would try to rebuild it, I would miss a lot of those things. But I'm ready to finally, maybe from what is tomorrow, Saturday, to have like a built version of my own orchestrator and to start using only that and not juggle between. I'm tired of juggling these three windows. Honestly, it's driving me crazy. One thing I'm not sure is how I would do the browser thing, because I don't like that entire idea that a browser is, how does it work actually? I think one chat connects to a single browser tab or multiple browser tabs. How does it work? So I'm going to open something here and then I switch the chat and the browser collapses. So if I open another browser, now this has another tab per chat. Is it per chat or is it per project? Let me try that. I'm going to try another session here. Blah, blah, blah. Provider turn start failed. Provider adapter error codecs for thread, whatever. Okay, cool. I don't care, but the browser. Oh, the browser is separate. Well, luckily your boy has a lot of experience when it comes to browsers and projects and thingies. So I don't like this idea that every chat in Soto has a different set of browser tabs. What about if in Soto I have my GitHub directory and I want it pinned? Is there the concept of pinning? No, there's not. So I'm gonna play a bit and innovate in that area. You know what's the funny thing? I always thought that CZ will be killed by Chrome releasing some browser specific for developers. I never in my life thought that we're gonna lose the IDE where we write code and that people will take a chat box thingy and then slap a browser on it, and most developers will be fine with that one browser. They don't need responsive, they don't need this and that, all the bells and whistles. Like I was adding things to CZ which agents kind of made irrelevant. Like I had a thingy to show you the dependencies, which ones are green and which ones are red. Now I just chat and I'm like, update my dependencies. I don't give a fuck. You know what I realized? I would do coding streams back in the day and then I would yap a lot because obviously I love yapping. I've been here for like 42 minutes, just straight up didn't shut up my mouth. And then I was like, okay, back to code, no more yapping. But I should have just yapped. I realized that I should do yapping streams when something happens. Like I don't want to become, I don't want to become a news reporter. Like if I ever do that, fucking kill me. If I ever research how many tokens has the output and the input and the cost and the dollars and the thingy, and I report on a thing, take this straw out, you know that I'm struggling financially if I ever do this. If I ever start reporting, hey guys, so the new Gemini model, this is how it drew a pelican, poke my eye out. So I still want to build products and I want my income to stay from that. But I also like yapping. I like streaming and I like record. I don't like recording because it requires editing. I just like going live sometimes and having a chat. I feel like, where are the fucking Twitch people? You bastards. I had a lot of followers there. Where are you? Can I just see Twitch for a second? Well, my browser doesn't work. This is how my entire day went. I would try something. I'm like, oh, but my to-do app is broken. But then we open my browser doesn't. And like, I'm just going in cycles, like that Bryan Cranston gif and Malcolm in the Middle, where I'm trying to fix one thing and I'm just going to tangents. But anyway, I got tired of yapping. I think we're going to wrap up here. I don't even know how many people are watching. But thank you for tuning in, I guess. And thank you whoever interacted in the chat. We're going to try to do this more often. And if you've been here, if you're an OG, you know that you're not going to see my ass until